You're listening to Blind Chats with the Back Road Chicks.
Welcome to the Late Night Cruise.
The Late Night Cruise.
We're your hosts,
Courtney
and Brienne. Buckle in.
It's going to be a wild ride.
Are we on?
Are we? Yeah, we're on.
We're on the air.
We're on.
Hello!
Hi, everybody. Welcome back
to
Blind Chats with the Back Road Chicks.
Chicks.
We got a good one for you today. I mean, we always have good ones, let's be honest.
This is true.
Yeah. We're talking about confrontation today.
We certainly are.
We're talking about confrontation versus assertive communication in any situation, really.
Yes. And how a lot of people don't like that. Not even just confrontation itself, but assertive communication or the misunderstanding around what each of them is or entails.
And the discomfort behind being confrontational and speaking up.
Yes.
I have a problem with that.
See, and it's funny because I used to have a big problem with it. I never liked to stand up for myself or anything. And then it changed. But it's funny because the misconception is a lot of people think I like it. I actually hate it. I hate having to have confrontation or to be in a position where I have to stand up for myself because it's exhausting and frustrating and annoying. It's just, what's the lesser of two evils? Keep taking nonsense. Because I feel like in life, if you keep allowing, so if it's certain things like services or discrimination or big topics like that or wrongdoings.
Yep.
If it perpetually happens and nobody stands up for it and takes the stance of, well, nothing's going to change, there's nothing I can do. If we all adopt that attitude, then that's absolutely correct. So what is that book like by Marcus Aurelius? As a man thinketh, so is he.
Oh.
So if we want to believe that, then that's going to be true. But if we finally stand up for ourselves and try and correct errors of systems or ways or behaviors and stuff like that, then it's apt to make a difference.
I agree. I think that, in my case, I know that it makes me extremely uncomfortable, and I totally get, I guess, the way that I look at you when it happens, when those things do happen, like you do correct behavior, you do correct the service industry. If someone screws up an order, if someone forgets something or do that, like you will correct it. Even though you don't like it, you are very adept at it and doing it in a respectful way.
Yes, usually. Always start respectful until it's like, when you get disrespected and then it escalates and then they argue with you and argue or get defensive or try and justify their crappy behavior or whatever they're doing. Not just in the service industry, but anyone in general. Then I finally reach a tipping point. I'm like, okay, now it's going to go from assertive to confrontational. And I'm going to get mad because it's crazy.
So let me ask you this.
Sure.
What's the difference between confrontation and being assertive?
I think the big difference for me, and this is just my perspective on it, is confrontation is like the intentful aggression, tactless, like anger or going out there with an ego or boisterous or like a point to prove. Not really to solve the problem or to stand up for yourself, but more to, I would say, cause a scene. It's almost, I would say,
okay.
Maybe more for somebody who hasn't learned how to stand up for themselves in the past. And it's almost as if they're reacting as a young child having a tantrum. Not calling them childish, but it just... No,
but like the defense mechanism of...
Yeah, like that very reactive attack
lashing
without tact.
Out. Okay. Yeah,
right?
Okay, that's actually a good way to put it. Yep, okay.
But the assertive communication is like, no, this is wrong. Let's have a conversation with it. Like the example at the restaurant, for example.
Yep.
So when they refused to do a refund after messing up the order multiple times and not following our instruction.
Yeah. That's
why I said to her, mistakes happen. I understand that. I'm not going to hold it against you, but now you need to make it right.
Yes, absolutely.
And once they started arguing at that and came up with a outrageous solution, I didn't feel so bad about taking their outrageous solution and, in fact, giving them the opportunity.
Yeah.
I said to them, okay, well, I don't think that that's a great idea. Maybe you should call your manager. And I suggested XYZ. And then they essentially said they couldn't do that. So I was like, okay, well, if you want to give me the refund out of your own pocket and that's what you choose to do, then okay. Because at that point, me as a moral human person, I felt bad because that sucks. They had to go into their own pocket.
Yeah.
However, if people learn the consequences of their mistakes and would listen when you're speaking and would hear you, and when you're clarifying and correcting it, would pay attention and do your job properly, then it wouldn't have come down to that. And if you had proper protocols in place and your management had it set up properly, it would not come down to that. So I don't feel bad, especially after when they would argue and get defensive and then try to say that we didn't say that.
Yeah. You're like, I was there.
Yeah, it's like, don't lie. We both talked to you, and now you're saying that your agent clarified the order with us. No, she didn't. Roll the tapes back. So at that point, I didn't feel bad about having to take the refund in that way that they offered. So
absolutely.
Maybe they'll learn next time. I hope that was a learning experience, and I hope they went to their manager and got reimbursed.
Yeah, that's the one thing. Yeah, because depending on the situation, like, I mean, you go to Timmy's or you go to a fast food place, like, you go up and they'll usually make it right. But when they have,
do they now?
Well, when you have a situation where you're going to this place and they're refusing to make it right,
mm-hmm.
and in terms of make it right in the way that you want it to be made right, it was you had an overabundance of food that you didn't order.
Yep.
You didn't want it. You needed to send it back,
mm-hmm.
and they wouldn't take it back. Not that they wouldn't take the food back. That's something else entirely.
Yep.
It's the fact that they were not willing
wouldn't refund that portion.
They were not willing to correct the mistake.
Correct. Yeah. I just wanted to be charged for what I ordered.
Yeah.
And then when I explained what I ordered, and she's like, "Oh, so you want an extra burrito?" No. Where in this conversation did I say that? So it's again the
language barrier.
Oh yeah, that's a whole other episode. But and to you, it came across as like I'm confident doing that, and it's not,
yeah, absolutely,
and it's gross. Like it's exhausting. It's frustrating. It doesn't feel good to have to do that. I guess I'm just tired of taking it up the tailpipe and letting people waste my very minimal resources, or having disrespect for my time or my morality or whatever, or my morals.
Yep.
And that's just, to me, more important. Like, integrity is more important than preserving the peace.
Okay. Here's a segue here, or, maybe like an offshoot of that. Does that apply to your relationships with people that you know as well? Like, would you behave the same way or confront or be assertive in the same way with someone that you knew versus someone, say, in the service industry? Or
I think that was demonstrated earlier today. Yes, in fact, I will be exactly the same. 100%, because I won't, again, it's just like the service industry. I won't confront if it's like a first instance, because, it could just be a one-off, or it could just be an accident or mistake or whatever. But when it's repetitive, or when it's very blatant, or where it's to the point of it's causing more problems than it does unsaid, then I'll absolutely confront it. But the funny thing is, people don't like being confronted.
No.
And there's a lot of hypocrisy behind it. There's people who will confront others or make rights of wrongs.
Yep.
But when they're on the receiving end of having to get their behavior corrected, they lash out.
Okay.
And it comes back down to season 1, episode 5, double standards for 500 trouble.
You know what? I will fully admit I've done that, right? I've been one of those people, like, I avoid confrontation as a rule, but when I'm confronted with something, it's different now. It's gotten a lot better, but I used to absolutely be the person that would retaliate or retort or be like, no, you're wrong.
Right.
Or argue. And I feel like, it's taken a lot of years and a lot of therapy.
Talk to me.
But strangely enough, for me, confrontation is never my go-to. I will always shy away from everything. I do not like to confront people. I don't like making waves or rocking the boat.
Does anyone really?
I don't know. Some people do. Well, I guess
there's some people that, and they like.
Some people do.
So I would say it's the assertive communication that's necessary. There's an awesome book. I feel like I should Google it for the end of the episode. It's called Crucial Conversations. I just can't remember the author's name at the moment, but it's a lady. Not helpful, I know. But that's a X chromosome, by the way.
Dude.
Controversy.
Dude.
I digress. But I agree. I feel like there are some people out there that genuinely
thrive
enjoy
on it.
Yeah. Like the chaos that they label.
Yeah. Totally. Right? It's totally a thing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. But kind of from your perspective, because you're more on the opposite side, what's confrontation versus assertive communication to you, and what feelings come up, and why do you avoid it more than utilize it?
I think for me it is very situational. For example, I mean, it's something that my therapist has talked to me at length about, in terms of, you know, when I'm with you, you're not afraid to go through a drive-through, and if your order's wrong, you send it back. We drive around and you send it back. I have never been that person. I have never been okay with doing that. It's funny, Brent and I talked about it when we first got together, because I was talking to him about you, and I said, it makes me uncomfortable to go through the drive-through with Bree, because she will say something and send it back. And I said to him, and I was like, I am the type of person that I will drink the wrong coffee, or I'll throw it out. Like, I will not, like, if they forget a fork or a spoon, like, I ain't going back around. And he said exactly the same thing. He's like, I'll just accept the wrong order and I'll thank them for it. He's like, I probably tip them too. Yeah.
Brad! Oh, cringe.
I don't know if it's the same story now, but I remember that conversation from when we first got together. And I was like, I'd totally be the same. I'd be driving off and be like, no, that's cool. I got my own spoons at home. It's all good, right?
Right? And you know what I think it is because, again, like, if a drive-thru makes a mistake or something slightly off, that's fine. But nowadays, it's become perpetual and consistent. Yes. And that's why I've had enough, because it's over and over and over, and the same locations making the same mistakes. I'm like, no, okay, now we're going to have a problem, because you need to get it together. You can't just keep doing that. Yeah. And it's over it's not complicated orders.
No, it's like a basic cup of coffee.
Double.
Yeah.
And they can't get that right. Or an extra flavor shot, and they don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, or, putting your donut upside down in the bag and all your icing sticks to it.
I know, yeah, that I know.
Right? No, yeah, no, you paid for that chocolate.
Darn right.
That's not, you did not get what you paid for.
Darn right.
You put it in the bag appropriately.
And had I noticed earlier, I would have said something. I will say this. I went to McDonald's the other day, and I ordered like a cheeseburger and a poutine.
Yep.
And I got home and I had a regular fry.
Oh, no.
I immediately called the restaurant.
Good.
I called the restaurant and I was like, I was just in your drive-thru. I was like, I can't come back again tonight. I was like, but maybe tomorrow or the day after. I was like, I'm coming back. And I was like, and I want either a reimbursement or I want what I ordered.
Yep.
And she said, yep, absolutely. That's totally fine. She took my name down. So that was an example of me being incredibly uncomfortable and doing it anyway, because...
But look at the result.
I know.
It was great.
You can't argue with the results, and I'm not arguing with results. I'm arguing with the basic confrontation.
Sometimes results don't always go how they should, or how
that's true. That's very true. That is true. But you talked to me a year and a half ago. Like, I probably would have not even been capable of making that phone call.
Yeah, and I feel like it's selective for everyone, because I know when we first met, you actually went to bat and defended me when a said individual was making inappropriate comments and behind my back, and you stood up for me, which was nothing like you'd ever do, especially with that person.
No, I wouldn't.
So I think it comes down to when there's certain, like, integrity involved. And I know even me, so it's funny you say about the drive-thru and going back. If I'm at a sit-down restaurant, now here's the funny thing. When I'm at a sit-down restaurant, I have a very hard time sending it back.
Really? Well, because you're sitting there talking to them for an extended period of time.
And I feel bad because it takes longer, and it's hard to say what the issue was. So the part that sucks about that, and I guess in the fast food, it's a little bit different, because usually the person handling it is often the same person at the window. Not always, but it can be very often. But at the restaurant, for example, you're sitting there talking to a wonderful staff.
Yes.
And you'll go through different staff. The person who sits you, like the busser, will be different from
the waitress,
the server. Yeah, exactly. Will be different from the cook, or the cooks will switch. And you unfortunately have to address the person at the table about the problem, and they have to bring it back. And the way that they convey the message, bringing it back, could be dependent on their mood, could be dependent on what they do, however that message is translated, whoever's fault it was, however they take it. I don't know what's going to happen to my food.
Yeah.
And I feel bad, because at those restaurants you're usually paying more, and I don't like to be wasteful over food and expensive things.
Yes.
So
that's
then
fair.
That part makes me feel bad, but I've gotten to the point where, okay, if it's something really bad, like I ordered a medium rare steak and you're giving me a well done,
Oof.
I'm sending that back.
Oh yeah, it's going back.
Because I'm not chewing on a couch.
No.
Especially at $60 for like a half-ounce slab.
Yeah.
Joey. But, you know what I mean?
Yes.
It just comes down to like, is it a big deal that's going to be, you know, detrimental to the experience and a waste of money or a breach of integrity or something like that?
Yeah.
Basically, is it the assertion worth the outcome?
Well, and is it a confrontation versus just being assertive? Are you going to be like jumping down these people's throats? No.
Well, exactly.
Right? I also think that,
like, your example at McDonald's was assertive communication.
Assertive communication, yes.
Yeah.
Whereas the same conversation, not the same conversation, it's an entirely different situation. But if you're having a conversation with someone that you know really well, or in a relationship with your partner, your attitude changes. Because I think that you know, for a good amount of it, you know who you're talking to, you know what's going to get through communication-wise, you know what buttons you can and can't push.
For the most part, yep.
For a lot of it. Mm-hmm. If you're, in a new relationship, you've got to get to know those things, you've got to learn those things, you've got to take the time and understand nuances and understand differences in behavior, differences in mood. It's not unlike a friendship. It's just got another component to it.
Yeah, I think, in relationships and friendships alike, I think a lot of it is
comfort.
Comfort, subjective too, though. And lots of it is, I would say, mood dependent, capacity, interpretation, understanding how close they are to the matter, or how much of fault they played into it. How big was their wrongdoing? How badly are they going to take it? Because, wounded egos, embarrassment, discomfort will exacerbate lashing out.
Well, and I think for me in particular, embarrassment is one of the reasons that I'm not a confrontational person. Mm-hmm. I don't like the ability or the possibility of being embarrassed or wrong.
And I bring it back down to, does anyone? I don't think anyone likes being embarrassed. I don't.
No, of course not. But I think the fear of being wrong or the fear of getting it wrong is overpowering.
That's interesting. I kind of want to pull at that thread.
Okay.
So if it's something that you believe in and you know that you quote unquote should, it's such a bad word, should be assertive about, what makes you feel like you're in the wrong or could be wrong or could get it wrong?
Because I don't always trust my emotions.
Okay.
I don't always trust that the thing that I'm feeling is valid in terms of am I overreacting? Am I thinking into this too much? Am I reading too much into this? Am I taking it further than it needs to go?
Okay.
Because, and especially in a relationship, I am very unfamiliar with the waters. I don't know, right? I don't know. This is what I'm feeling. Do I have a right to feel this way? Am I overreacting? Do I have it's almost, and it's not like I need to justify the right to feel this way to myself, but
glad you caught that.
I need to, there's more than one person in this relationship. There's more than one set and side. It's one set of emotions, and there's more than two sides to every story. I need to make sure that I'm not going to fly off the handle, and I'm not going to confront something that really isn't worth it.
Yep, and I think that's fair, and it's a very self-aware assessment. I definitely agree that your feelings are valid, though. Feelings are always valid on both sides. And kind of that experience that you described is very emotion-based.
Yes.
Not fact-based. So, when you approach those kinds of conversations, if you're able to extract the emotion out and just look at the fact and the scenario of the situation, might better help with the assessment. Because emotions cloud judgment and clarity and perception. So that's why they do a lot of thought records too, right? Just to kind of extract that part out. And then when you go into the conversation, it's easier to kind of tackle it with fact. Because when I talk to people, I'll confront or assertively express what the issue is. I'll be like, look, this is why I think it's an issue. This is what the repercussions of it can be. And this is why it has to be changed. If you don't agree, that's fine. I can't force you. However, this is going to be my response to those kinds of situations. This is where I feel like it's moral integrity to speak up and do something. If you don't agree, fine, but understand that this is why you keep finding yourself in those positions.
So let me ask you this. Okay, so therapy, last week or a couple weeks ago, we were talking about being confrontational. We were talking about saying things in the moment versus taking time to cool off.
Oh, very good one, yeah.
So for me, I grew up probably not being the best at that. I definitely confronted things in a different way. I was a little bit more vocal and verbal about things, and I'd get myself into trouble. And because it was a very emotional outburst, or it was something to that effect. Like, it was the emotional side versus the rational, logical brain.
I think we all start off like that in life, because when you go from into kids into adolescents and to teens and young adults, it kind of...
But is it too far in the other direction now, is what I'm kind of getting at in terms of...
Okay.
Because when I talk to my therapist, I just say to her, like, these are the things that I'm feeling. Mm-hmm. These are needs that I have that maybe aren't being met. Or these are conversations that I want to have with people that I'm not having because I don't want to say something in the moment because I'm upset. And I take time to reflect. I take time to cool off and put it back in the box.
Right.
And I take time to rationalize and think about the things that I'm going to say. And if it's worth it at all, then say something.
Yeah, I think that's a very healthy way to do it.
Never say something in anger.
Yeah, totally. I think that's very a healthy response.
But she said, okay, but if you do that, it diminishes what you're feeling in the moment, but you are feeling those things. There's a reason that you're feeling what you're feeling. Why are you avoiding the confrontation? And maybe not necessarily the confrontation, but why are you not at least bringing it up?
Well, and to her, I'm not discrediting her, because obviously she knows what she's doing. She's a trained therapist, but I would challenge that, because everybody has different emotional regulation capacity. And if you can't handle, or you're not at the point of emotional regulation, or it's a subject that's too close to home, let's say having a sort of communication when a loved one has passed away.
Yeah.
That person's emotional capacity is going to be completely different.
Yeah.
So if you're in a place where you don't have that ability, then it absolutely makes sense to take a step back, breathe, and then deal with it. It doesn't mean that the emotion isn't going to go away. It doesn't mean that you're not going to remember how you felt or the intensity or what upset you. You're just going to be able to communicate and convey it in a regulated way, so it's actually productive. Because if you lash out in the moment, it's a stone thrown. You can't take it back.
No, but I do think that there is something to be said about the intensity of the emotion that you're feeling. I think that this is why I have problems with confrontation and talking about things, is because I feel things very intensely.
Mm-hmm. Yep, me too.
And I am a very emotional individual. I cry at the drop of a hat. And most times not because I want to, but because I literally cannot stop it. I can't.
Yeah. And I think that's fair and valid, and that's something you're aware of with yourself. But if in that exact moment, it's not going to be conducive to a solution, if you're not going to communicate effectively and you're just going to like scream or cry or whatever the reactional response is, then I don't think that it's great to do it if you don't have a handle on it and you're thinking with all emotion and logic's at the wayside. I mean, it doesn't mean you have to go sit for days or hours, but even if you just step aside, breathe, take 15, 20, 30 minutes to yourself, and then come back to it. I think it's the time delay also is another component to it.
Because I never want, especially, in a relationship or friendship, like I never want tears to be used as a manipulation. I don't ever want that to come across as I'm crying, you should feel bad.
Right. And I mean, I think a reaction to your personal experience of having dealt with someone that does that, or people that do that.
Yes.
So your fear of being like them is not allowing you to express your emotions, or feel like you have to hide tears.
Or not validating my own emotions.
Yep.
I don't validate them a lot.
I agree.
I second guess, I triple guess, I quadruple guess everything, and I rationalize every little thing. I rationalize other people's behavior towards me. I know I do that.
Bad, Courtney.
Yes, I definitely take everything to heart, and I over rationalize, and I rationalize everybody's behavior towards me.
Yep, and I used to do that in abusive relationships, and it's easy to do. And that has a lot to do with self-worth and feeling worthy and good enough, and that's a whole other episode on childhood trauma, which we should probably do. Childhood maybe you can't, because that might not be a good idea, but
we'll see.
You actually have a relationship with your family. Me,
I do, yes.
Not so much. So I don't care.
Well, it's one of those things where no parent is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Parents make mistakes, right? It's not about...
I'm going to plead the fifth. The Canadian fifth. We don't have rights anymore because Bill C-9, Carney. But anyway. Yeah, I mean, there's so many factors.
There are a lot of factors, and again, this is years of therapy and self-reflection and stuff like that. But yes, you're right. I agree. Self-worth has a lot to do with it, and lack of self-worth and self-love.
Now, here's a fun one. So, habitual wrongdoers. Now, narcissists come into mind, which is really funny, but not just related to them specifically, but habitual wrongdoers who constantly accuse everybody of everything. Right? Point the finger, take no accountability. And when you confront them, when do you find, in your experience, that it's a waste of time, or how do you particularly like to approach those people? And do you find that when they're in the wrong, they get more explosive and defensive?
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
I find that too. And that's, again, double standards, which drives me crazy, because it's like that's where I think a lot of discomfort comes for people. And I know it's with assertive communication or anything like that. It's do I want to deal with the atomic bomb?
It makes me, it relates to me. I've thought of this analogy often. It's the feeling of backing an animal into a corner.
Yeah.
And they claw, bite, slash. They will do whatever they can to get out of there alive and get out ahead.
And I think a lot of it's because they're upset with themselves. They know they did wrong, but their ego kicks in, their fight or flight kicks in, and now they want to claw, because it didn't feel good for their wound to be exposed. I
don't know. I agree, but I will also take the flip side of that argument, and I will say some of them really don't understand. They don't think they're wrong.
Oh yeah, there's those two, yep.
Yep, they don't think they're wrong. They think they're absolutely in the right, and you need to understand why they're right.
Right, yep. And they have no problem turning... See, and it's funny, because narcissists do it, but other people do it too. So it's like, they'll turn the tables on you, and then they'll attack you instead, and it's like, no, don't Darvo.
Yeah, how do you figure out which one is which?
Yeah,
exactly.
And the DARVO acronym, for those people out there, because that's a narcissistic term, is deny, attack, reverse, victim, offender. So they'll deny accountability, they'll attack you and reverse the victim and offender role. So instead of you confronting them, they'll turn it on you and somehow make it something that you've done wrong and put you in the wrong, rather than taking accountability. And there's so much of that. Much of that out there. Can't talk tonight, folks.
You're totally right. There are a lot of people out there like that, and you get enough of it in life, whether it's people you know, people you don't know, like you're gonna get into arguments.
Well, exactly. And we're all gonna get into arguments because we have a difference of opinion and we'll disagree. In those moments, sometimes that's where I figure I have attempted to resolve this problem multiple times with this person. It never goes anywhere or changes. So at that point, I just walk away. And then they're mad
that you walk away.
Then they're mad and they blame you and tell everyone how terrible you are because you abandoned them. But that's not the case.
It's so true.
It is. It's really ugly.
It's so true.
Ugly behavior. And it's like, but that also if you can't change them, you have to change yourself, because what's the definition of insanity? So for self-preservation, I leave to protect my sanity because you're not understanding.
But then it's like a vicious cycle. It's a vicious loop, because then you're walking away, you're non-confrontational, and you're not getting anywhere. Because if you confront them, it's like they're backed into a corner. If you don't confront them and you walk away, then you're still the asshole, in which case you'll have to confront other people later on down the line because they've formed an opinion of you based on the words and actions of others.
Oh, correct. That happens in my building all the time. Very, very annoying. Yes, can confirm. But people don't have strength in their own identity oftentimes to form their own opinion because they don't want to go against the mainstream crowd or the leader's decision or
so they're caught in the same loop then.
Yep. And they won't stand up for themselves. And a lot of that comes down to self-esteem as well.
Which is funny, because then why would they be able to confront you or me or what clearly they're comfortable with confrontation enough to the point where they can do it. They very clearly have opinions and thoughts and they lash out, like we say.
But there's certain circumstances where we can all pick and choose when we can do it. I find on average, it seems to be when they either have zero respect for you at all.
Okay.
And it's a shallow, fake relationship that they're putting on a front.
Oh.
So they're more apt to confront you or talk down to you, be condescending or disrespect you because they don't actually respect you.
Uh-huh.
Or when they're very, very, very close to you, because oftentimes family members or spouses, it's easier for them to treat the people they're closest with poorly, which is very unfortunate.
Okay.
So I think those are a couple of factors that play into it. Not all the time or all of them, but those are, I think, two big portions.
It's a very interesting thought, actually.
And I was when you were saying you get stuck in the vicious cycle, I think as long as you attempt, and I always say that, as long as you attempt to try and resolve it, and you can give it whatever your threshold is. If it's, you'll try once before giving up, or twice, or 3 times, like 3 times your old ball game, right? As long as you do your all, at the point when you choose to walk away is your choice and your business. It's not their choice. It's not their business. It's annoying because I get very angry with the disgusting behavior of some people that start rallying the troops together and forming a negative opinion of you just because they did you wrong and now want everybody. It's a narcissistic tactic. It's the flying monkeys. They talk about in books all the time. They'll corral the troops to try and get people on their side because they don't want to be licking their wounds.
But they're not telling them the whole story.
Never.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Well, that's why they say there's 3 sides to every story.
Exactly.
Once, twice, and the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
So I think as long as you get to your threshold of you gave it your all, you tried your best, at the point that you decide to walk away, you're doing that for you because the other party doesn't want to partake in it. That's not a fault of the person trying to be assertive.
So what do you do when those types of people still pursue you after you've walked away?
Do
you give them a chance?
When others make me feel obligated to, and that's my fault and my boundary issue, other people will rope me into it based on their connection or their relationship or their upbringings and views or guilt.
How much of the confrontation aspect of things, confrontation, assertiveness, whatever you want to call it, how much of that do you think banks on boundaries?
Ooh, good question. I think a lot. So I think the ability to do it is definitely boundary related because I think that you have to push it when you feel that your boundaries are violated.
Okay.
Is a time where you want to do it. But if you don't have self-worth and aren't good at enforsing boundaries, I think it kind of ties into why there's a lack of desire to
or the inability to confront.
That's right.
Oh.
So that's kind of my take on it. Is that kind of where you're going? Or
No, that's absolutely where, that's kind of what I was curious about, because I've never thought about it that way, and it just hit me right just now. But
yeah, and I mean, I think, and then the other side of that coin is when do you draw a boundary and you just stop confronting because it goes nowhere? That's a boundary related issue as well. That's
a huge one too, because you can confront all you want, but that's like beating your head against a wall. At what point do you just be like, okay, I'm washing my hands of this, I need to walk away from my own sanity?
Absolutely. And then if you don't respect your own boundary, you're putting yourself back in that. I'm guilty as charged with disrespecting my own boundaries when it comes to my abusive mother.
Yeah.
Because the external world likes to make you feel guilty.
Yep.
Well, that's your mother. You only have one. I'm like, okay, so if somebody beats you, I'm not saying that she did that. And that's what I'm using as an example. If somebody,
not physically.
Right, yeah, exactly. If somebody beats you physically over and over and over and over and over and over, you do not have to take that.
No.
You should not take that.
Nor should you take emotional or verbal abuse.
Absolutely. So if you've tried to address it, you've given them the opportunity and it keeps happening, then you shouldn't feel guilty for drawing that boundary and walking away. I feel guilty because and my therapist and I have talked about this so much. I scored extremely high, 5.6 out of 6 on the schema scale for self-sacrifice for the sake of others. very unhealthy. I abandoned myself.
Where'd you get that test?
From a counselor.
Oh.
Yeah. So I abandon myself all the time for others, and it's not okay.
I agree with that. You do. Absolutely, you do.
Yep. And I need to not feel guilty about drawing the boundary, not communicating with my mother. I also have other people's families who I should not communicate with because of my own boundary, and not feel obligated to converse with them as well because they continue to disrespect me.
Mm-hmm.
But I cave. Yeah. And that's a boundary that I know I have to draw and stick to, no matter how it might hurt other people's feelings. It's something you have to do for yourself. And if you don't respect yourself, then you're abandoning yourself and your health declines.
I hear you. I completely agree and understand that. Absolutely. And I guess another point of a question or an inquiry. How do you know? Because when you're making your boundaries, right? You have to have them in life. You have to learn how to create them, and then you have to learn how to enforce them and uphold them. When you have relationships or friendships or family with people that are not going to respect them, and they're going to keep doing the same thing and keep doing the same thing and keep doing the same thing, at what point does your level of ability to confront dwindle? And then you become like me, where you can't do it anymore because you don't have the capacity, because the way that you learned how to confront and have boundaries was never enforced, and was never able to. Like you tried to put boundaries in place and they were constantly beat down and pushed in.
Well, that comes down to the only person who can hold a boundary is yourself. So in that sense, I would say that you're abandoning yourself as well, because no one but you can make yourself bring your boundary down. It sounds like an operation of guilt as well. And I'm not
totally
making a judgment against you by any means. That's my problem.
Guilt is it's a great word. Yes. It's absolutely, it is.
It's a terrible, the lowest vibrational frequency, and it's very unhealthy. And self-abandonment is the worst thing, because it's almost learned helplessness, essentially.
Ooh.
It's learned helplessness. You just give into the circumstance or the abuse. And interestingly, it happens a lot in families or domestic relationships. But let's switch gears to workplaces.
Okay.
There's a lot of learned helplessness in the workplace, because unfortunately they have power over you and your livelihood, and your income, and your check. So
absolutely.
Here comes the double standards. They want everyone to be respected or stood up for. How do you assertively communicate in the workplace without getting fired or getting written up or having them torture you until you leave?
Oh.
It's really gross.
Yeah.
Because I feel, and correct me if I'm wrong, I am no expert in this area. I honestly feel that it's a piece of paper and a hat and draw it. You never know. Or gum. Left like a box of chocolates. Never know which one you're going to get.
Yeah. No, you're right.
And you never know. Because at any given moment, you could have a wonderful boss, which I have had, that's understanding, and they want to make things right, and they want to hear you, and you're assertively communicate. And there's other ones that, I'm in charge, sit down, take it, don't speak up, or GTFO.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
You never know what you're going to get.
Well, and people in authority over the peons.
Yep.
Right? Shit flows downhill.
100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
So would you approach it in a workplace? Do you personally feel less comfortable in a workplace than you do in other ones, or is that change for you?
I feel like I've always had a wicked work ethic. Mm-hmm. Okay. I have always given 110% at a job. And as we've discussed in previous episodes, sometimes to my detriment. Mm-hmm. You learn to be the jack of all trades, master of none, and it starts to be expected and you start to burn out. But that being said, you show up, you do your job, no notes. That, I feel, is the only way that you can really succeed if you're a non-confrontational person like myself.
So it's survival based on learned helplessness.
Essentially. There are ways, like, for example, my boss, my supervisors, and my boss's boss, great rapport. I have a great relationship with my bosses. I would not be afraid to bring something up if I had a concern, but there are moments that it is a very, very much a pick your battles.
Yep, definitely. And it depends.
It depends on other people. Reins. Yep. Yes. And it depends on whoever else is in your unit, in your whatever, because it's like, are they really worth my time?
Exactly. Because there's been instances where I adored my bosses and I thought we had great rapport, had each other's back. So we had an agreement that we would be transparent with each other and always be honest. So I loved that.
Yep.
And I thought we had a great in-work and out-of-work relationship going on. I just saw her as a great person. And then I had to have an assertive communication about something that was not ethical, in my view.
Mm-hmm.
And I brought the facts as to why, and it was met decently with her at first, until she had to go higher up, and then all of a sudden her narrative changed towards me, and then I got attacked by both at once, and as you say, shit rolls downhill.
Mm-hmm.
So the higher up didn't like what she had to hear. Even though my boss initially agreed with me that what it was unethical, but because now her job was threatened, her narrative changed.
Oh, yeah. As soon as you threaten other people's jobs, it's like, okay, red flag. They don't want to help. They don't want to get involved. They're like, oh, no, you deal with it.
Well, that's just it. And she doesn't like confrontation. So she caves she folds like a cheap tent.
Yep.
And then I become the bad guy for assertively communicating, even though it was well within reason to have had conversation about that.
Yeah, like, how dare you?
Absolutely. So now I don't have a good view of them anymore. I can't.
No.
Because of how it was handled and how I was backstabbed and disrespected.
Well, that trust is broken. Once that 100%. Trust is gone, it's almost impossible to regain that. And I sure
straight told them too, because I gave them I've always been completely honest and upfront. And now I told them, I'm like, I regret having your backs. I regret being upfront and forthcoming and honest with you guys. And that will never happen again.
Has that changed your approach to when you start a new position or you start anything? Do you automatically have trust for your boss, or are you automatically like got your back up? You don't trust anybody. They have to earn it.
No, I mean, I don't know them, so I can't make that judgment. So with this particular job, I went in there just getting to know them and just talking to them and seeing how they move, seeing how they communicate, and just developing that over time.
Yeah.
There was no reason to trust or not trust them. Because you're in the training phase, you don't know them, things haven't really come up yet. So it was kind of more of a learn as you go. And the rapport was built over time. So naturally, that trust had been built over time organically.
Okay, but you don't go in with the everybody's out to get me mentality.
No, you can't.
Well, you can.
Well, okay, you can.
Whether it's productive or not is another story.
You should go in neutrally, like always be mindful.
Yeah.
That you're in a workplace that certain rules apply, that you have to be like weary of cliques and
totally.
And
because you know that there will be workplace ones.
Absolutely, or out of office relationships and connections and how that can transpire and all that, like and dual relationships. Yes.
Boat rockers.
Yes, exactly. So you have to go in being cautious, be like polite and professional and optimistic.
Mm-hmm.
But when you start noticing things or noticing patterns, then you can start altering your opinion and changing course and deciding how that interaction is going to be, how much trust you're going to give that person, who you're comfortable going to and who not.
Fair enough.
So it's kind of an assessment over time. I just think it's very unfortunate that in the workplace, you are put in a position where standing up for the right thing could cost you the food on your table and the roof over your head.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Because let's be honest, there are not a whole lot of people out there that live more than paycheck to paycheck.
Exactly. And I think that workplaces know that, and oftentimes they abuse their power and take advantage of that.
Oh gosh, totally.
And it's disturbing, especially places that strive to keep people healthy, or that's the main goal of their company, or they're all about well-being.
Mm-hmm.
And then they contradict that.
Mm-hmm.
And then the way that they talk to you or treat you or dismiss you or treat you like you're just a number or disposable and zero recognition or regard.
Yep.
It's a very tragic state of affairs, and anyone made to be feeling like that in the workplace should have the opportunity to speak up. But oftentimes that's met with shame or dismissal or
repercussions.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, let me switch gears on you again.
Yep.
Does your home life, upbringing, relationships, the trust and the confrontation that you have in those relationships, your assertiveness in those relationships, does that translate to your workplace? Do you automatically go in with a certain mindset, or vice versa? Does your workplace life affect your confrontation, assertiveness, your ability to communicate in your relationships?
I mean, I feel that's two parts. Your work life and your home life, like any way that you've grown up and all of your experiences are always going to shape everything you do. Anywhere you go, of course, that's always going to be contributing factors.
Mm-hmm.
I would say no. So yes to that, but no to the part of, does that change how I would do confrontation there? Is that what you're kind of saying? It doesn't shift with the way that I would want to approach it, because I try to approach everything
level-headedly.
Yeah, exactly. It's just, it's more risky, if you will, in certain scenarios. I'm also at the point of, I'm starting to care a lot less now, because I was always more concerned, again, self-sacrifice,
yep.
More concerned about the other people, or more concerned about upsetting them. But when you do wrong, you do wrong. We all are going to make mistakes. We all mess up. And what frustrates me is if something's brought to my attention and I've generally done something wrong, I'll be the first one to feel horrible. Yep. I'll feel the first one to feel horrible if I've said something before the other person even says it, because you know in your heart if you've done wrong. You know that, unless you're a sociopath or a complete narcissist, or you know. Even narcissists know, they just don't want to admit it.
It just doesn't sit right in your gut.
Exactly. So you know whether or not you're in the wrong. So I'll be the first one to feel upset or apologize for that. So I used to be more concerned about how other people felt and if it hurt them, and neglecting my own needs. Now, it's not that I don't care about the person. I don't ever want to hurt somebody, but I don't care if it's uncomfortable, because I'm not going to sacrifice myself or my integrities or my ethics or moral beliefs just to spare your temporary hurt. I don't care anymore, because being silenced into submission, being beaten to submission isn't okay.
No.
And that's where I believe standing up makes more sense, even if it causes temporary discomfort.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense. I like that.
Right? So it sucks that went down in the workplace, but if it's not going to be handled appropriately and it's going to lead to, confrontation, or even up to, in the worst case scenarios, human rights complaints, then unfortunately, so be it. That's the way it has to be. And maybe that's just not in alignment. And I was sold an illusion that's not really real. You know what I mean? It sucks to have to think that way. And I'm not saying that's going to be with every workplace, because there's been some fabulous workplaces that would never be like that.
Yeah, of course.
But the reality is there's unfortunately a lot in the government that happens. And you have no power from experience.
Do you ever feel the guilt from confronting? You're like, I know we've kind of gone over this and discussed this, but when you confront something in a personal capacity, if you're confronting in a relationship or a friendship or whatever, and you automatically feel guilt for confronting.
No.
Not because you're wrong, but because you're afraid of what the other person is going to think and feel.
No. In the past, yes.
Okay.
I don't feel guilt about the confronting part, because I'll only confront if I truly strongly believe there's an ethical or healthy reason to do so, and there's a good solution in sight that's going to be good for both parties.
Okay.
The part where I feel guilty is when the other party isn't cooperative or receptive of that, and it causes conflict or lack of change, or they don't want to participate. Then you can't go anywhere, because both people have to be willing. At that point, I then have to decide to draw a boundary. And the boundary part is where I feel the guilt about self-preservation and walking away, rather than allowing it. And that's ridiculous. I should never allow that, but I do. And that's where I need to strengthen the boundaries. And that's been an ongoing issue. Mostly coming from my mother, but
my fear is that any confrontation or assertiveness would be interpreted as an attack.
And that's where I think the definitions, if you're confronting people and it's an aggressive, ego, emotional,
even if it's not,
reaction,
sometimes it just, you're like, I need to be honest with you in this moment. This is what I'm feeling. And they take it as a personal hit or an attack, or they take it personally.
And then
sometimes it is personal, but you know what I mean? Like they take it as.
And my follow-up would be, what's the outcome after that? What's the solution? Because naturally egos can get bruised and it can feel in the moment.
Yeah.
But how is it resolved? What's the aftermath? What's the outcome? Because if it all ends up working out after, then that's great. There's always going to be discomfort. That's inescapable. I feel discomfort. I don't like it, like I said.
Yeah.
But if it's meant with a volatile explosion and like a narcissistic reaction,
yep,
then that's not a healthy person, and that's not on you.
Okay. That's fair.
That's just my opinion. Others may have other opinions on that.
Well, I think that it's valid, though. I think you gotta read the room, for sure. Gotta read the emotion of whoever it is that you're dealing with, and you have to understand that not everybody's gonna interpret things the way that you will. Mm-hmm. And you have to understand that not everybody's gonna be willing to communicate.
Yep.
If you're willing to communicate, that is everything.
Yes. and how you conduct yourselves after the conflict and move forward.
Well, and understanding the reticence of the person who is saying something, like understanding the discomfort and understanding that this is not, for me especially, this is not my wheelhouse. I don't like doing this. I don't like making waves.
Yep, me either.
Because I would rather everybody else be happy and I will suffer for it.
And that's the shift that I had to make. And I still don't like making waves. I don't want anyone to be uncomfortable or unhappy. No. It's just, no one should have to feel that way, but so many people are scared to stand up for themselves or to be assertive or to stand up to a bully. I think that's the biggest one. It's when it comes down to it, the person in the wrong is often like the bully. And everyone's too scared to address that person. They rather appease them to keep the peace. And that's where problems perpetuate. In relationships, it's really uncomfortable. You don't want to rock the boat with your partner or risk hurting their feelings or upsetting them because it feels like high stakes, almost like a job. There could be lots of things.
It absolutely feels like higher stakes because you're just like, I don't want to do anything to screw it up.
Right. And then it comes down to the confidence in yourself and the security of your relationship, the security of the other person, be understanding. Because if you can have healthy disagreements and addressing problems, that's a good thing. You're always going to have conflict in relationships. And it's not unhealthy. Conflict isn't unhealthy. It's how it's handled. You have to make the problem, not the person the problem. And that's, I think, where a lot of people go wrong.
Well, and I want to counter that a little bit. I want to say I absolutely agree with that. It is the problem and not the person. But on the side of like not wanting to hurt anybody's feelings, you don't want to bring up a problem or a flaw or something. You don't want, I say you, I mean me.
No, you're good.
I don't want to point something out that could potentially be upsetting or hurtful because I don't want the other person, and I'm not talking about a relationship specifically. I'm talking about in any form of communication with a friend, family member, partner, whatever. I don't want them to be down on themselves or feel like they need to change everything or change anything. Yes, there are things that need to change, of course. That's how you live. That's how you learn. But I never want to approach anything with the intent of hurting somebody. And I feel like I maybe don't have control over that. And I think that's what's holds me back a lot is because I am a very emotional person. I deal with everything with my emotions and it is to my detriment. And I know that. And I don't ever want to have a conversation or a confrontation with somebody that is going to lead to anger.
Well, and I think it comes down to, so we can't avoid necessarily hurting someone's feelings. And I think it's fair to say as humans, majority of us don't ever want to have an intention of hurting somebody else. It doesn't feel good. I would say the vast majority are like that, again, barring like mental illness, sociopath, psychopath, schizo, whatever.
Yeah.
So I don't think that intent exists. I think a lot of it comes down to how it's presented, how it's phrased, how it's worded, tone of voice, the approach. It's huge. You can say one sentence in 5 different ways and it'll be taken in 5 different ways.
Yeah.
And that component, I would say, if you're concerned about that, then the people who know you and know your heart know that about you. And that's all that matters. If people think otherwise, then
I'm doing something wrong.
Then that's on them. Then that's on them. Like unless you are genuinely doing something wrong, but if they don't understand you and there's someone close to you, then I would say that's on them. I typically like to take the sandwich approach.
Okay.
Which I'll usually I don't like to deliver a shit sandwich, having like a bad thing and then a good thing and then a bad thing. What I like to do, and here's an example from today, is because based on what you were saying, you don't want them to feel like they have to change everything. No single person has to change everything, and that's not a fair request.
Right.
And we all have to look at ourselves and recognize the things that we need to work on too, and be aware. So the sandwich approach is notice the good, address the issue, and then close with something positive. So an example from a conversation I had today, I won't get into the detail of it with the people for privacy's sake, but I basically said, I understand that you come from a good place and I believe that you have good intentions and your heart's in the right place. I don't believe there's anything negative intent. However, this is a consistent issue. This is why it's judgment. This is why it causes damage.
Yeah.
And it hasn't stopped. it's not okay. And I'm sorry if it hurts your feelings that I make it known. But at that point, when it comes down to something moral and integrity, and this has been a consistent ongoing issue that causes damage, at that point, I need to speak up and say something, because if I don't, then I'm part of the problem and I'm allowing other people to get hurt, and I'm not okay with that.
Oh.
And I would do the exact same thing for you, Dick, Tom, Joe, and Harry.
Yeah.
And then I close it with, again, I'm not coming down on you. I'm coming down on the behavior and trying to make you understand it so that gets resolved and not repeated in the future, because this is what causes the majority of the same conflicts that you face.
I love it.
And I said it exactly like that. And however they want to receive it, if they want to be hot-headed, then they're not meant for my life. And if they want to be upset and hold grudges or be grumpy, then that's on them. I can't change their behavior. There's nothing I can do. Then I will walk away. It doesn't feel good.
No.
It very much upsets me that I have to do that. It upsets me when people I like are pissed off, but there's nothing I can do. I can't change their behavior. I can just stand on integrity.
Tell them what your boundary is.
Yep, absolutely. And why. And if you don't like my justification behind it, that's fine. But there's going to be times where the shoe's on the other foot, where they've done the exact same thing and they've upset people and they felt uncomfortable and they did it for a reason. And I pointed that out as well. I'm like, you've been in the position where you've done the exact same thing as I have because you felt like it was the right thing to do. So I'm not doing it to hurt you. I'm doing it because it's the right thing to do so that others don't get hurt. So if you can't understand that, then there's nothing more I have to say than be mad.
Exit stage right.
Exactly.
I love it.
So, and that's kind of the approach I take. But that's why, going back to what your therapist said, I agree you should try and deal with, oops, I hit my mic, sorry y'all, deal with things in the moment. But if you're not regulated, then you can't say it like that.
Yeah, like you'd say it in the emotional, unhinged.
Yeah, like yesterday, my boundaries were wildly being disrespected. It was, my state of mind was very well known to everybody, and my boundaries were violated. Did I react appropriately? No. I was pissed off and angry and yelling and swearing. Did it feel good? No. Did I apologize for it? Yes. Did I apologize for what happened or my belief or standing up for the situation? Absolutely not. Because it wasn't okay.
Yeah.
But my reaction, yep, because I didn't have the capacity. At that point, I honestly should have paused, stopped, walked away, left, and readdressed it later.
And there is something to be said about the pausing and reflecting and taking a minute to gather your composure.
Yep. Absolutely.
Because it's not always easy.
Yep. Taking the day, taking whatever I need. I should have walked away and left, and I didn't. So that's on me. And that's where I disagree with your therapist, is that sometimes you do, when you don't have the ability to regulate or the capacity in that moment, because we all hit those points, at that point, it makes sense to cool down first. And whatever that time frame is going to vary.
Yes.
So, yeah. And especially I would suggest that with when the stakes are higher with your partner or your children or your workplace.
Absolutely. Yeah, where it will matter the most if your emotional response is toxic.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. Totally agree.
Because once you squeeze toothpaste out of a tube, you can't put it back.
That's right. Can't put Pandora back in the box.
Yep. Don't let her out.
Don't let her out. Keep her sealed.
That's right. I think that's the majority of what I have.
I mean, we could go on forever, but
we totally could.
We'll wrap it up now.
Yeah, but as always, I want our people to tell us their thoughts.
Yes, please comment.
I'm going to get assertive with you people who want us to come back on the air after a long hiatus, and we're very upset about our departure. But you sit there not liking or commenting.
Y'all.
Or sharing. Please, engage. You want to hear us talk? Give us stuff to talk about. Let's give them something to talk about.
And if you don't want to hear us talk, tell us to shut the hell up.
Yeah, or that.
That too.
And then we'll just go on another hiatus. So. No, but really, share your thoughts. We want to hear from you. We want you involved in your ideas and your wisdom and your insight. We don't know everything.
No, clearly. We're new at this.
I remember. So yeah, let us know. What do you want? What are your thoughts? How do you feel about confrontation? What are your ideas? And what are some hot topics?
Yeah. Do you fly off the handle or do you take it in stride and take a breath?
I was totally a hot-headed teenager. I profusely calmed down until the last few weeks because I'm going to blow a gasket on any given moment.
I'm the opposite. I've been ramping up for a lot of time.
Oh, Ramp. Magic.
Oh my gosh.
We need to make you a ramp card. Brent, make your woman a ramp card. If you're listening. While you're at it, please hit like.
Like, comment, subscribe, anywhere you listen.
Hi, Dong.
Hi, Dong. Hi, Brent. Love you.
Love you long time, long time.
Until next time, folks.
We come around. When she comes, she'll be coming around the mountain when she comes. Oh. Oh. Different parts. Same page, different book.
Same page. Yeah, okay. All right.
Welcome back to our gem.
Welcome back. Grateful every moment.
Yeehaw! I'm really excited for this one today.
Go for it. Start us off.
Okay, we all know how my love language is so not receiving gifts.
Oh,
It
yes.
makes me very uncomfortable and I feel horrible.
Yes.
Now, even in the midst of feeling horrible, I still feel great gratitude, even though it makes me very uncomfortable. It makes me as uncomfortable as confrontation makes you.
Oh, geez.
Yes, that's the degree of it. But I need to give a shout out of gratitude. Can I say her name?
Yeah.
To Anita. Courtney Mama.
My mama
was so gratefully thoughtful and sweet. And I appreciate you and love you for that. And it was very, very generous and kind what you did today. And it does not go unnoticed. And I appreciate you and hope God blesses you abundantly. I have been having a tremendous amount of issues in a multitude of areas of my life.
This is true.
And my visual aid that I need has been broken, and it was no longer covered under manufacturer's warranty. Lifetime warranty, surprise, surprise. So they wanted over $100 for this item. It was absolutely, it's actually atrocious what they charge people. Even glasses, it's crazy.
It is. I agree.
Anyway, they all know all the hardships I've been going through, and she took me there today, which I'm so grateful for, because I can't drive or fly on a witch's broom. So she took me there, and I went to go purchase a new magnifier after almost 4 month long hiatus of not having one or having this resolved. And Anita would not let me cover the cost and blessed me with an absolute brand new apparatus, perfect working order, and I can see my phone so much clearer.
Yay!
So very, very grateful for that gesture and just that random act of kindness. You did not have to do that, but I very much value and appreciate that you did. So thank you.
Thanks, Mom.
Thank you, Mom.
That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah, that was very, very surprising. It was a nice piece to a really, really crappy few weeks.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that I mean, I knew about it, so I can't really.
Courtney made a secret! Courtney's first surprise! Oh my gosh, we should write a children's book. Courtney's first surprise.
Oh boy.
Ah.
You're gonna get us in trouble.
That'd be funny. Like, what's that book with the boy who flushes the watch down the toilet? Do you remember that?
Oh.
As long as I live, my baby will be.
I love you forever.
Yeah!
I love you forever.
I don't know why it reminded me of that.
I love you forever. I'll like you for always. As long as I'm living, my baby you'll be.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I still see the cover.
I still see the cover of the watch down the toilet. Holy cow.
Is that Robert Munch?
I don't know if that's Robert Munch, actually.
I'm gonna know everything. About actors and actresses. Authors.
Authors is a different story.
Have I finally found your kryptonite?
I think you might have.
Oh, and I seem to know a little bit more authors.
I
really do have to get the Crucial Conversations author, though.
We'll figure it out. We'll Google it. We'll post it in the notes.
Yes, we will.
I have a couple gems. As some people may or may not know, I've been on Ozempic for a while.
Oh, have you dropped that on the channel? I don't know.
I have not.
Okay.
I don't think I have. I've been on it for a few months now. I've noticed a dramatic change. Like I've lost 20 pounds.
Woo!
4 months.
Nice.
Yeah. Which, nice.
Sorry, I'll hiccup.
I was not expecting. It's been a wonderful surprise trying to get regulated and make sure that I stay healthy, because Dad was diagnosed diabetic at a very young age. A lot of his siblings are as well. It runs in the family. I've known that it's not only hereditary, but also stuff in my own body that potentially triggered it.
Mm-hmm.
So trying to get on top of that and just having the nice quote unquote side effect of dropping some pounds.
Always good.
Always good.
Always fresh. Tim Hortons. No, that's amazing. Congrats. I can't even imagine the milestone hitting that 20.
It was crazy. I stared at the scale in disbelief. I was like, wait a minute. Are you sure? Yeah.
Battery fresh?
Is this working? Is this working properly? Another little one that I have, not everybody, but many people know about the Phoenix pay system with the federal government.
Mm-hmm.
They like to dick people around horrendously. So I had been getting some random recoveries, like they had just been like taking money back, saying, oh, well, you were absent, like leave without pay, and you owed us money, and you owed us this, and you owed us union dues, and you owed us this. And it's like, okay, where's the paperwork proving it?
Right.
So I had gotten 2 letters in the last 2 weeks. One of them said we're going to recover about $900, and then another one that said we're going to recover about another $500. And essentially, they give you a way to pay it back in installments. But I was looking at one of this is from like my pay file from 2019.
Yeesh.
So they were going back a lot of years and trying to claw back money that they really had no right to, because like there's a 6-year statute. They can only claw back stuff if it's less than 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
So I refuted both of those letters. So the first one, which was the bigger chunk, was from 2019. So they basically tossed it.
Good.
And said, okay, well, we won't recover that because,
good.
But they fought me on the other one. And they fought me. I was been on a crunch deadline, They're like, you have to get this done in like 2 weeks. Like, we're going to start clawing all of it back. And I said, no, absolutely not. They're like, well, this is the date that it's from. We're taking some leave without pay, like that you earned money that you weren't entitled to. And I said, prove it. And they said, no, you prove it.
First of all, great assertive communication.
Yeah. So I said, absolutely not. And so they said, well, it's from this date and this date. And I sent them all my pay stubs and I said, look, this is what I have from these dates. You figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
And they got back to me today and they said, we've reviewed. We can't find any leave without pay pending for that period. We're not really sure where this came from, but we're removing it from your file.
Yay! Justice has been done. Justice is restored to the courtyard. Get it? Courtyard.
Don't quit your day job. But
well. No comment.
Anyways, that was a very good piece of news that I definitely needed to hear today. So I was very grateful.
Yes.
And it's a great example of assertive communication on my part.
Yes, it is. Woo!
I'm working on it. I'll get there. I will.
Yeah, these are great gems.
Thanks.
And to close it off, I just want to say, as always, I am so grateful for ice cold, fresh, clean drinking water.
H2O on the rocks.
Yes. Daj Bože, na zdrowie.
Until next time. You're listening to Blind Chats with the Backroad Chicks. Thanks for joining our late night cruise.
For help keeping your drive alive, please tune in next week for more shenanigans.